Who are watching us live on live stream, and those of you who will be watching on YouTube, we want to welcome you and ask that this few minutes, please focus on God. Let Him talk to you through a messenger that He has chosen to speak to us today in the person of Mrs. Jane Skuza. Mama Skuza, you're welcome. This is the messenger from the Lord. Listen to her.
Pastor asked me to speak, and I said, you know, I'm not a preacher. So I decided that I would just use the Bible. And so that's what we're going to do. Now, we've already done this passage twice, but we're going to do it one more time and just talk about it. So I am taking Proverbs 31, 10 through 31 that we just read, and we're just going to go through it. So I'm just really glad to be here and to honor mothers. And I just wanted to say that when this was written, this was an acrostic poem exalting a noble wife. It didn't say mother, it said noble wife. And each of these 22 verses begins with a letter of the Hebrew alphabet. So what they did back, Proverbs is a book of knowledge of, giving you things, the wise sayings. And this chapter 31, would probably be on the wall of the child's room, and it'd have A stands for this, B stands for this, C stands for this, and it would help them to remember the wise sayings. So even though this is talking about a noble woman, it was probably maybe even written to the unmarried sons and saying, here's what you might look for in a noble woman or a noble wife if you are interested in getting married sometime. So what I have to say today and what this chapter has to say is not just about women, but it's what men should be looking for in a noble wife or woman or mother. I've got all three of those in here because it's not just about mothers. So, and also Proverbs, let me just say, if you haven't read Proverbs, you should read Proverbs because it's a lot of wise sayings. And in Proverbs, you're going to find a lot about men. You're going to find a lot about women. And, in everything, there's always one side or the other. And I wanted to read two verses of the other to start with. In chapter 21, you don't have to turn there, I'll just read it. I'm going to read two verses about what you don't want. It says, it's better to live alone in the corner of an attic than with a quarrelsome wife in a lovely home. There's one. Then the other one in the same chapter in verse 19 says, it's better to live alone in the desert than with a quarrelsome, complaining wife. Okay? That's not what you want. Okay? And one more. This one my husband read to me many times. I don't know why, but he did. It's in chapter 27, verse 15 says, a quarrelsome wife is as annoying as the constant dripping on a rainy day. Have you not read to me that one a few times, dear? Now, I don't know why he would do that, because I'm not annoying, and I'm not quarrelsome. But anyway, let's go through chapter 31, and we're just going to kind of go through it. When I used to read this, I thought, you know what, I can't be like this woman. This woman is Miss Perfect. So are any of you out there Mrs. Supermom? Raise your hand if you're Miss Supermom or Superwife or Superwoman. I don't think any of us can be Superwoman. But you know what? This is an ideal, and there are principles in there that we can look at, and we can always get better. That's what it's all about. It's about getting better. So, you unmarried guys back there, you can be looking for this type of person when you're looking for a wife. Okay, so we're starting in, if you look at TV today, are you going to find the good woman? I'm looking at some of the TV programs, not that I watch them very much because they're kind of disgusting to me, but they don't have a wonderful role model of a woman. They have women that are loud and brassy, and they're not home a lot. They're not taking care of their kids. They might have a nanny. They might have, I don't know what all, but they're not the ideal. And I think, you know, this is one reason I'm thinking that you should know this chapter, teach this chapter to people that you know, come in contact with, because our young people are not getting the same idea about mothers as we have. They're seeing things on TV that does not go along with this. So, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at 5 aspects of a wonderful mother or a wonderful woman. Okay? The first aspect of the ideal mother is her marriage. And this is in verses 10 through 13. I'm going to read it one more time. This is our 3rd time. You know, I think when we read things more than once or twice, we kind of get it. So this is the 3rd reading of this. But it says, "Who can find a virtuous and capable wife? She is much more precious than rubies. Her husband can trust her, and she will greatly enrich his life. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life." So, first of all, a good woman is hard to find. He compares her to rubies. What makes a ruby different from a rock? Anybody know what makes a ruby different from a rock?
It shines.
It shines. Anything else?
It's red.
It's red.
You
Okay.
don't find them just laying around.
Okay. Oh, okay. And rare. And just what you just said, you don't find them laying around just anywhere. So it's the rarity of a good woman that makes her the ideal wife. She's not just, you know, just everywhere. Okay, so you have to look for a ruby. You can't just go out on, you know, out the ground out here and pick up a rock and that's the good ruby. That's not. If you want a rock, you can go anywhere and get a rock. But if you want a ruby, you're going to have to search for it. And so that's what they're saying in here is, if you're looking for the noble wife, the character of the wife, you're going to have to search for that person. She's out there. You're just going to have to search a little bit for her. Okay? And when you find her, she is more precious than rubies. It says that her husband is able to safely trust her. He's confident in her. He doesn't have any need to be jealous of her, and he knows that because she's virtuous, that she is going to be faithful to him. Now, she doesn't cause him to doubt her by any of her actions. She doesn't have, you know, this is my night out, I'm going to go do what I want to, and you can just, you know, stay home and do whatever you want to. The virtuous wife, the wife of noble character, she lets her husband know that he can trust her. Okay? He doesn't have to have any doubts about what she's going to be doing or about any of her motives. He knows that she will do him good and not evil. Okay? He knows that he's not going to have any lack of gain because of her. She's not going to pull down his character, or anything that she does doesn't hurt his reputation. She's going to be upbuilding him. And her careful household management enhances their family's wealth. She encourages her husband. She's faithful in helping him. And it says she brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. It's not just when they're dating or when they're first married, but she continues being his part of his support all the days of his life. Now, Lynn and I have known, I know of a particular family that it was one of Lynn's good friends, and he got married, and his wife started using credit card. And I mean, I guess she was setting up the house, but she was charging everything. And their marriage started not doing so well, and finally she left him, and he's left with thousands and thousands of dollars of debt. And she charged it all, but did she have to pay it? No. She left it for him to do all alone. So, you know, there have been women who destroyed their husband's heart and his career by causing him to distrust her to the point that he couldn't even go to work without wondering what she was up to. Now that works both ways, but you know, to be women worthy of our husbands, we need to be worthy of his trust. And to do that, we need to do things that are worthy of that, you know, not causing him any distrust or any reason to doubt our motives. I just wanted to read one more proverb that goes on the good side, but it's Proverbs 12:4. And it says, "A worthy wife